She smiled like she was trying not to. The kind of smile that came after a long silence, one that didn't need words to fill it. That was the first thing I noticed about her. Not her age, not her beauty, just that she looked like someone who'd spent years trying not to let anyone too close. I should have looked away. I didn't. It started in the most ordinary place, her office, late evening. The fluorescent light hummed overhead, spilling across the stack of files between us. She was standing by the window, coat draped over the back of her chair, hair slightly undone, sleeves rolled up. I was supposed to be talking about the project. Instead, I found myself memorizing the way she tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, how her voice softened when she said my name. "Go home," she said, not looking at me. "It's late." "I could say the same to you," I replied. That earned me a glance, the kind that lingers half a second too long. Her eyes carried something unreadable, something that felt like both warning and invitation. The air between us shifted, just slightly. She didn't step closer, but she didn't step away either. "You're young," she said finally, almost to herself. "You should be out, doing things. Not stuck here with someone like me." Her tone wasn't defensive. It was careful, like she'd built a wall out of politeness. But her fingers betrayed her, they kept brushing against the rim of her coffee cup, over and over, like she was grounding herself. "I don't mind," I said. "I like the quiet." She turned then, really looked at me. "You like the quiet," she repeated, a small laugh escaping, one that didn't reach her eyes. "You don't know what quiet does to people my age." I wanted to ask what she meant, but the moment was already slipping away. She moved past me to grab her coat. Her perfume, faint jasmine and something deeper, lingered as she brushed by, her hand grazing my sleeve. It was nothing, a mistake maybe, but it burned. "Good night," she said. "Good night." I didn't move. I heard her keys, the soft click of her bag, the faint sigh she gave before reaching for the door. Then she stopped. Just stood there, her hand resting on the handle, shoulders tense. "I shouldn't," she whispered, maybe to herself. "This isn't," the rest of the sentence died. She turned slightly, not enough to face me, but enough for me to see the edge of her expression, that fragile mix of control and something breaking beneath it. "Do you ever think," I asked quietly, "that sometimes what we shouldn't want is exactly what finds us?" The silence after that felt endless. Her breath caught. She didn't answer, didn't need to. The way her fingers tightened around the doorknob said everything. I thought she'd leave. Instead, she lingered there, caught between leaving and staying, between pretending not to feel and letting it show. And then, as if the universe couldn't bear the stillness, the hallway light flickered and footsteps echoed down the corridor, another colleague heading our way. She stepped back instantly, pulling on her composure like armor. "Lock up when you're done," she said, her voice steady now. The door closed softly behind her. The smell of jasmine stayed. I stood there, staring at that closed door, the echo of her almost smile still trapped in the air. I knew I should go home. I knew I shouldn't think about her. But my hand brushed the sleeve she'd touched, and I realized my heart never learned how to listen to rules. She didn't mention that night again. Neither did I. But something shifted after it, something too subtle to name, too heavy to ignore. Her tone was the same, her words still precise and measured, but her pauses grew longer. She started asking me about things that weren't work. Was I eating well? Sleeping enough? Seeing anyone? Questions that felt casual, but landed with a quiet weight. One afternoon, she was sitting across from me in the break room, stirring her coffee even though it was already cold. The rain tapped against the window, slow and steady. She glanced outside before speaking. "Do you ever feel like time just ran ahead of you?" Her voice was softer than usual. I watched her fingers, the way she held the spoon, delicate, absent-minded. "Sometimes," I said. "Mostly when I think about how little of it I've actually lived." She smiled faintly. "You're lucky then. You still have the illusion of plenty." There was something almost bitter behind the word illusion. I didn't ask what she meant. But later, when she brushed past me to refill her cup, I saw the faint indentation on her ring finger, the kind that doesn't fade even after years. She caught me looking. For a second, her hand froze in midair. Old habits, she said quietly, setting the cup down. Some marks just stay. It wasn't an explanation. It was a confession disguised as small talk. From then on, the silence between us carried more than words could. I started noticing things I shouldn't, the way her perfume changed with the days, the way her blouse clung to her shoulders after she walked in from the rain, the way she'd close her eyes when thinking, as if the world was too loud and she needed the darkness to stay steady. And sometimes, she noticed me noticing. Like the day I leaned over her desk to point something out on her screen, she didn't move. Her hair brushed my cheek, her breath warm against my jaw. My throat tightened. I wanted to step back, but I didn't. Too close, she murmured. But she didn't move either. I swallowed. Sorry. She turned to me, eyes meeting mine, not angry, not afraid, just searching. You're making this harder than it already is, she whispered. What is this? Her lips parted, but no words came. Only a faint shake of her head, as if admitting it would make it real. We stood like that, inches apart, caught between restraint and something too real to disguise. Then her phone buzzed. The sound broke the moment in half. She stepped back, tucking a loose strand of hair behind her ear like she was hiding. I have a meeting, she said, her voice composed again. But when she reached for the papers on her desk, her hand brushed mine, light, fleeting, trembling. Neither of us pulled away. For a heartbeat, we stayed connected, her pulse quick under her skin, mine unsteady against it. Then she took the papers, eyes down, lips pressed tight. Don't look at me like that, she said quietly. But I couldn't help it. Because even as she walked away, I knew something irreversible had started, something neither of us had the courage to name. That it started with a storm. The kind that turned the sky the color of bruised steel and made the windows hum. Most people left the office early that day. She didn't. Neither did I. The lights flickered once, then steadied. She was sitting by the window, sleeves rolled up, a faint shadow under her eyes. The rain had soaked her coat, it hung over the chair, dripping softly onto the floor. You'll get stuck here, I said, half a warning, half a hope. She looked at me, lips curving. So will you. It wasn't a challenge, just a quiet acknowledgement, that neither of us really wanted to leave. The hum of the building faded into the rhythm of the rain. I sat on the edge of her desk, pretending to check the document she was reading. Our shoulders brushed. It should have meant nothing, but the contact sent a current through me, something dangerous, something alive. She noticed. Of course she did. She always did. You shouldn't look at me that way, she said softly, eyes still on the paper. I wasn't, I lied. You were. Her voice was steady, but her hand trembled slightly as she set the file aside. When she stood, the air between us shifted, warm, electric. I told myself this was just work, she said. That's how it was supposed to stay. It still can, I whispered. But the words didn't sound convincing, not even to me. Then came the knock. Sharp. Sudden. We both froze. A colleague's voice from the hall, cheerful, oblivious. Hey, you two still here? Power's about to go out. She straightened instantly, smoothing her blouse, stepping away just enough to make the room look normal. Coming in a minute, she called back, voice perfectly calm. The footsteps faded. Silence returned. But it wasn't the same silence anymore. Her hand was still on the desk, inches from mine. Without thinking, I reached toward it, not touching, just close enough to feel the warmth radiating from her skin. She didn't move. Lightning flashed outside, white and sudden. Her face glowed for a split second, her eyes wide, her breath caught. I could see every line of uncertainty, every ounce of want she tried to hide. "This isn't fair," she whispered. "You don't know what you're risking." "Then tell me." Her lips parted, but before she could answer, the thunder rolled through the building, deep and endless. It sounded like a warning. Still, neither of us stepped back. The lights flickered again, the room dipped into shadow, and I could smell the faint trace of rain in her hair, the warmth of her breath near my cheek. We were so close. One more breath, one more heartbeat, and it would have happened. But she closed her eyes, shaking her head just slightly. "Don't," she breathed. "I can't pretend anymore." "Then don't say it," she whispered. "Not yet." And then, another knock. Louder this time. "Power's gone," someone called. "Lock up when you're done." She exhaled sharply, stepping back like she'd just been pulled from a dream. "You should go," she said, almost pleading. But when I turned toward the door, her hand brushed mine, not by accident this time. Just long enough to say what neither of us dared to speak. The storm outside roared. And inside, something far more dangerous began to take shape, quiet, inevitable, and impossible to undo. The storm passed, but it left something heavier behind. Days felt longer. Words came slower. She stopped meeting my eyes in meetings. Started speaking to me through short emails and half-smiles that never quite reached her. But I could feel it, the tension hadn't faded. It had only learned to hide. That Friday, she called me into her office. The blinds were half closed, the late light of evening pouring in slanted gold. She looked tired, hair pinned up carelessly, sleeves rolled, a faint smudge of ink on her wrist. "Close the door," she said. I did. She didn't turn around. "People are starting to notice," she said. "You staying late. Us working alone. Are they wrong?" Her shoulders stiffened. "That's not the point." I took a step closer. "Then what is?" When she finally faced me, there was no pretense left. Her eyes met mine, full of the things she'd tried so hard to bury. "You're young," she said again, her voice shaking. "You don't understand what this could do to me." "I understand what it's already doing to me," I said. Her breath hitched. She took a step back, but I matched it, closing the space she tried to create. My hand brushed the desk, hers resting beside it. The room felt too small, the air too thick. "Don't do this," she whispered. "Please." "Then tell me to stop," I said. She opened her mouth, but no words came. Only silence, and the tremor of her hand when I reached up, brushing a loose strand of hair away from her face. Her skin was warm, impossibly soft. The faint scent of her perfume lingered, jasmine again, but mixed with something deeper now, something like rain. "You don't make this easy," she said, eyes glistening. "Neither do you. I don't know who moved first, maybe both of us." One moment, her hand was on my chest, meant to push me away. The next, her fingers curled slightly, holding on. "You have no idea what you're asking for," she murmured. "Then show me." Her breath came out uneven, her lips parting, just barely. The distance between us was nothing now, her heartbeat pressed against mine. "You'll regret this," she whispered. "I already regret not doing it sooner." The words hung there, raw, reckless. And for a second, I saw her walls falter. She leaned in, not fully, just enough that I could feel the warmth of her breath on my neck, her forehead against mine. "Don't," she said again, softer this time. "If we cross this line, I won't be able to go back." "Neither will I." Her fingers slipped up to my collar, trembling. My hand found the curve of her back, steadying her, or maybe myself. Everything in the world went quiet, the ticking clock, the hum of the air vent, even the rush of blood in my ears. She closed her eyes. I did too. And just as her lips brushed mine, a single breath between what was and what could never be, a sharp knock shattered it. Her assistant's voice, muffled but clear, "Ma'am, your husband's here." She froze. My heart stopped. She stepped back, slowly, her face pale, her expression unreadable. Go, she whispered. Now. And this time, I didn't argue. Because in her eyes, I saw everything she wanted, and everything she couldn't let happen. She didn't come in on Monday. No message. No explanation. Just her empty office, the faint scent of jasmine still clinging to the air like a ghost. By Tuesday, people were whispering, something about her taking time off, something about her husband showing up unexpectedly that night. I pretended not to care. Pretended not to check my phone every hour. Pretended not to replay the almost kiss, the moment before the knock, the way her voice broke when she said go. On Wednesday, she returned. She walked past my desk without looking at me, calm, composed, untouched. But when she closed her office door behind her, I saw her hand tremble on the handle. Later that afternoon, I couldn't help it. I knocked once, softly. Come in, she said. Her voice was steady, but her eyes weren't. There was exhaustion there, the kind that doesn't come from lack of sleep. I started, unsure what I was even trying to say. That he came by, she interrupted. Yes. He does that sometimes. Her tone was sharp, but underneath it, something cracked. I hesitated. Does he know? She laughed, quiet, bitter. Know what? That I almost ruined everything for a moment I can't even name? She turned away, leaning against the edge of her desk. The sunlight caught her profile, tired, beautiful, human. You didn't ruin anything, I said softly. She looked at me then. Didn't I? The silence that followed was too heavy. She rubbed her wrist, the mark from her wedding ring long faded but not forgotten. He saw the messages, she said finally. The ones about staying late. The calls. My stomach dropped. And? I told him it was nothing, she said. That you were just helping. That I was mentoring you. Her eyes locked on mine. And he believed me. The way she said it, like it hurt more to be believed than accused, made my chest tighten. I took a step forward. You don't have to keep pretending. I do, she said. Because that's what people like me do when we've already made too many mistakes. She tried to brush past me then, to reach for the stack of papers on the shelf, but I caught her hand, gently, just to stop her from running. Her breath hitched. She didn't pull away. I'm not asking for anything, I said. I can't keep acting like that night didn't happen. Her voice dropped to a whisper. It didn't. It can't. Then why are you shaking? She froze. Her hand was trembling in mine, small, delicate, caught between defiance and surrender. Because, she said, her throat tight, you make me remember what it felt like to be wanted without guilt. Her words hung in the air, soft and devastating. I wanted to hold her. She wanted to run. Both of us stood there, motionless. Outside, someone laughed down the hall, a sound too normal for what was breaking inside that room. I can't do this anymore, she whispered. Not like this. Then how? I asked. Her eyes lifted, wet and unguarded. If I tell you, you won't let me go. I stepped closer. Try me. For a moment, she didn't breathe. Then she said it, barely audible, I'm leaving. The words hit like a cold wave. When? End of the month. And just like that, the ground shifted again. What felt forbidden now felt fleeting, a countdown neither of us could stop. She turned away before I could answer, her voice breaking as she added, don't make me change my mind. But the way she said it, low, trembling, half plea, told me she already wanted to. The office felt different after that, quieter, but charged, like the air before lightning. Every word between us carried a second meaning, every glance lasted too long. She was leaving. And somehow, knowing that made everything harder to contain. It was her last week. Late evening again, the others gone, the lights dimmed, her boxes half-packed. The scent of cardboard and jasmine filled the room. "You're really doing it," I said. She didn't turn. "I told you I would. You didn't tell me why." Her hands paused mid-fold, the papers trembling just slightly. "Because I don't trust myself anymore." "Is that because of me?" She exhaled slowly, still facing the window. "Because of us," she said. "Because whatever this is, it's already gone too far." I took a step closer. "Then let it." She turned then, sharp, startled, eyes burning. "Don't," she said, but her voice broke on the word. I stopped only when I was a breath away. Her back brushed the desk, she didn't retreat further. "Tell me to stop," I said quietly. "Mean it." She opened her mouth, but nothing came out. Her breath was shaky, her pulse visible just under her collarbone. "This isn't a game," she said finally. "I know." "Then why?" "Because I can't keep pretending I don't want you," I cut in. "And I think you're tired of pretending too." Her eyes glistened. "You think wanting someone makes it right?" "No. But it makes it real." She closed her eyes, as if trying to block out the sound of my voice. When I reached up, my hand hovered near her face, not touching, just there, waiting. "Look at me," I said softly. When she did, something broke open between us, that fragile wall built from rules and fear and years of learning how to stay safe. Her hand lifted, hesitated, then found its way to my chest. I felt her fingers through the fabric, unsure, trembling. "You'll forget me one day," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "Don't tell me how the story ends." For a heartbeat, we didn't move. The hum of the air conditioner filled the silence, the city lights flickered beyond the blinds, and somewhere between restraint and surrender, we stopped pretending. She reached for me first. Not a kiss, not yet, but a confession written in the space between breaths. Her forehead pressed against mine, her whisper trembling against my skin. "You make me feel young, and that terrifies me." I smiled faintly. "You make me feel seen, and that terrifies me." We stood like that, suspended in something that wasn't quite love but wasn't far from it either, something honest and flawed and deeply alive. Then she stepped back, slowly, painfully. "You should let me go," she said. "I can't." "Yes, you can." Her eyes softened. "That's what makes you different from the ones who never did." The words sank deep, not a rejection, but a gift. She reached out, brushed her fingers over my cheek, and this time, it wasn't hesitation, it was closure. "You were the reminder," she whispered. "That I can still feel." "And you?" I asked. She smiled, quiet, breaking, beautiful. "That I still can't stay." When she walked away, I didn't follow. Because sometimes love isn't the thing you hold on to, it's the thing that teaches you how to let go. It had been weeks since she left. The office was quieter, but not in the same way, it was emptier. Her mug still sat on the shelf, chipped on the rim, the kind of small imperfection she always said gave things character. I couldn't bring myself to throw it away. Some nights I'd catch myself glancing at the chair she used to sit in, expecting her to be there, legs crossed, pen tapping the desk as she read through reports. But the air didn't hum the way it used to when she was near. Then one afternoon, months later, I saw her again. The hospital corridor looked brighter than I remembered. She stood there, talking to a nurse, a folder in her hand, her white coat open just enough to reveal the same silver pendant she used to wear. The one I bought her on a whim and pretended wasn't a gift. When her eyes found mine, she froze, just for a second, then smiled. The same soft, knowing smile that had undone me 100 times before. We didn't speak at first. Didn't need to. Later, in the break room, we finally sat across from each other again. No boxes, no tension, just quiet laughter between sips of lukewarm coffee. "You look good," I said. "So do you," she replied, eyes crinkling. "Less haunted." I laughed. Guess time helps. It does, she agreed, then added, almost whispering, but not enough to forget. Her hand rested on the table. Mine drifted closer without thinking, fingers grazing hers. It was innocent, but the spark was still there, gentle and patient now, like an ember that never quite went out. You know, she said, I thought leaving would make it easier. It didn't. Maybe it wasn't supposed to, I said. She looked at me for a long time, something soft flickering in her gaze, not guilt this time, but acceptance. Maybe we were never the mistake, she said quietly. Maybe the timing was. And then she laughed, that warm, melodic laugh I hadn't realized I missed so much. It loosened something in my chest. When we stood to leave, the goodbye felt different. No words, no rush. Just closeness. I hesitated, then stepped forward. My hand brushed her arm, then her shoulder, slow, searching. She didn't move away. Our foreheads met gently, the way they had that last night. But this time, there was no sadness, just peace. I missed this, I whispered. So did I. For a long moment, we stayed like that, her fingers curling around mine, the quiet rhythm of our breaths finding each other again. No promises. No apologies. Just two people who had finally stopped running from what they already knew. When she finally pulled back, she smiled, the kind that said we're not done, not really. And neither of us wanted to be. Did you enjoy the story? What kind of stories would you like to hear next?